Dave Matthews Band returns to Hollywood Casino Amphitheatre in St. Louis tonight. And we're celebrating with a special episode of the Midwest Mixtape podcast, featuring none other than Tim Reynolds, the legendary guitarist and longtime collaborator with Dave Matthews. We dive into Tim's musical journey, the dynamic energy he brings to the stage with Dave, and what continues to make Dave Matthews Band one of the most beloved live acts in the world. This is Tim Reynolds of the Dave Matthews Band on the Midwest Mixtape podcast, brought to you as always by The Barn.
Hey, this is TR of TR3 and Dave Matthews Band. You're listening to the Midwest Mixtape podcast live from The Barn.
This is the Mox from the Midwest Mixtape podcast, live from the Barn studio. Joined here with Chuck, Dwayne, Ben, and we have a special guest with us online right now. We have Mr. Tim Reynolds from TR3 and the Dave Matthews Band. Tim, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm just sitting here relaxing in a hotel, but it's a nice, once in a while you get a nice sized room and it's so spacious. I feel very relaxed. I got my SG over there looking at me. Getting the company. I'm just kind of, following the daily program.
There you go.
Because then you're a bit free. You got to be in the moment so you can focus on, making the guitar strings all good to go and playing music and cosmic stuff.
Yeah, you let somebody else figure out all the details, right? You just got to show up and play and do your thing, right?
Yeah. I trust my friends. And people that work with me have known me for a long time. I have faith that they'll do all the things, and if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to, they'll let me know and we'll say, well, do we have to do something different? We'll do that.
And we're excited you're coming into our town, St. Louis. We're happy to have you back in St. Louis.
Man, I love coming to St. Louis. For the longest time, I wasn't in a band. I was in a band, but one that really didn't have enough of a following or what to book a gig that far away from where I lived at the time. And then I maybe started playing there when I lived in New Mexico, even though that's even farther. But I was so psyched when I finally started playing there, seemingly at random places. But it was always great because it's where I grew up. But I didn't really get into the music business there. So all my gigs were really on the East Coast and then sometimes on the, those kind of coasts when you do that kind of thing. And then I would tour, but then loved playing in the Midwest. And ever since I've been touring on my own, I've been playing all over the Midwest and as much as I can in St. Louis. So it's always great to play there. It really is.
Our studio is actually in Farmington, Missouri. A bunch of us here grew up in Deloge and Bonne Terre. I used to ride my bike out to Gumbo, Missouri. So clear up the rumors for us. Are you originally from Gumbo, Missouri?
No, the first place I consciously remember is a baby. We lived in Indiana, Culver, Indiana, I think, on a farm. And then, so my dad was in the Army, so we moved around, not super a lot. I've known people that moved around way more than I did. But we lived in Indiana, we were in Alaska for a little bit. But then we came to St. Louis like in the late 60s. But yeah, I was really born in Germany, but really from growing up in Indianapolis, growing up in Missouri. When you didn't have one specific place that you were born and from, like Germany, I was born, but I'm not German. But when I was a kid, just because I was born in Germany, all my aunts and uncles would say, that's the German baby. And I'd be like, oh, but I'm not German. Although since they said that so much, I was always like, am I German? I was too young to think, if they're saying that, what's up with that? But it's cool because I love German food and I love being in Germany. It's pretty cool.
When you come to St. Louis with Dave, he always introduces you as being from St. Louis.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I remember the first time that I played with them somewhere, and it was when they were to play the arena. Outside, big place. It wasn't inside, it was outside.
Oh, nice.
And it was huge. And it was like maybe the first gig. I was probably dressed in the goofiest clothes ever, and the people really thought that was cool. I thought that was cool. It was very shocking. The amount of love, I guess. I haven't been on that kind of big of a stage and had that kind of, sound come out from people ever before that time.
Well, regardless where you're from, where you came from, we're happy to have you back in town. I mean, obviously, you've played on the biggest stages in front of the largest crowds. Is it a different feeling, or is it the same kind of feeling?
Oh, it's really different, man, because, it's great when you play in a big place and a big thing, and, that's some kind of high energy, man. It's hard to describe those kind of numbers. But then the other face of, music and the way it works and the way it feels is playing these places like club size and wineries and theaters where the sound is very good for acoustic. That is rich, I have to say, because you can really get a sense of the acoustic in a place like that. I mean, sometimes it takes a little extra time when you're sound checking because an acoustic guitar, if you want to make it sound big, it's very problematic because you have to get it on the edge of feedback to get enough low end so it doesn't sound like tinny or, thin. Yeah. And sometimes you have to compromise to make it somewhere in between so you can get it loud enough for the room, But mostly we have guys that are really good at spending a little time and we get the acoustic styled in. And then the electric is easy because it already sounds like it's going to sound. The acoustic's a little harder because each room is different, shape and size, and you're working with a director or PA, but it's really mostly been really nice because once you dial it in, it really feels like you're playing acoustic, And literally you are, but to get it to sound a certain way on stage and hearing it in a room, to get an acoustic feeling from it is very satisfying. And, the music has a lot of feeling in it. It kind of comes from that. I keep forgetting what you're asking. I have a list of stuff to make sure I don't forget.
Trying to keep it cool over here, but Ben especially has been a fan. He's actually got a couple of Dave Matthews Band tattoos, and we're really excited to have you on. And like I said, Ben is a huge fan. We're all fans of what you do, but I wanted to mention that.
All right. Hey, Tim, this is Ben. Hey, I've got a quick one for you. Congratulations, by the way. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was the 25th anniversary of the release of Live at Luther College.
Yeah.
So it's 25 years ago. I was a fan of the Dave Matthews Band before that, but that's when a lot of people were introduced to you as a badass guitar player. Did you realize when you're recording, because I think that was a little tour you guys did that year, and I guess just so happened to record Live at Luther. Did you know at the time that it was going to be such a hit, and that like after the show, did you say, Dave, we fucking nailed that one, man? That was great. Because I'm telling you, I bought that CD. I know like 10 times because people would steal it. I would leave it somewhere. I'd have to go back to Walmart and buy it again and
buy.
But I mean, it was great. But like I said, I just wondered how you guys picked that recording off that tour that year, because it was amazing. We were listening to it just before you came on, and I could listen to it every day.
Well, I think that show was recorded in 96, and then it wasn't released till like 99. And I think the show itself was recorded closer to a time when we had done a bunch of those gigs, performed a bunch of those duet gigs, and then, we did a couple tours like that, if I recall. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was kind of, we were still really, what's the word? We were kind of in it, in the vibe of that, very strong, because we had been doing it really often. So I guess that captured that. And it was so much fun doing that for me and for Dave. And it was just really fun. I mean, it was really fresh. I think on that tour, everybody was on one bus. So it was very much like a family on a bus. Just the next time, it's really cool and very easy. 2 acoustic guitars in theaters and colleges, and, very grounding, very nice.
I recently, my wife, recently for my birthday a couple years ago, bought me tickets to go to the Gorge. And so back in 22, we flew to Seattle, then got a car and drove over to the Gorge and got to see night one of the Labor Day weekend. And let me tell you, It's a treat. So do you guys treat the Gorge any different? I mean, you guys go there every Labor Day weekend. You play 3 shows, and it's kick-ass every year. I listen to the shows every year. Do you guys get amped up for that just like the fans do? I mean, fans fly from all across the country. I flew from Bonne Terre, Missouri to Seattle to see you guys play, and I would do it every year if I could. But do you guys feel the same energy that we do?
Well, I think we feel, I mean, it's really great to be on the stage and playing there. It's also a gig where there's a lot of, it becomes a bigger social affair than almost all the other gigs. You know, there's a lot of extra activity.
Sure.
So in a way, it's not as easy as just stepping into a place and doing a gig and leaving. It's like 3 days, and then that's good in a way, for sure. And it's fun to kind of stretch out and not have to go, you know. But it's just a longer time to do that. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's just like it seems a little long.
Right.
But you know, we've been doing it for years and years. You know?
Right.
I think it's nice because of the setting. I mean,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's really the most amazing setting. So that alone makes it worthwhile. It's just ridiculous, you know. When I could do more, I definitely, for the first many years, would walk down from the top down the, whatever you call it, mountain or whatever, down to the river and back. But you needed a couple hours to do that, you know, and that was a really great hike to do. It takes a while, especially coming back up.
Tim, I had a question about the you guys performed at the Grammys in 2010, and there's a lot of cool things that happened that night, like Lady Gaga playing with Elton John, things like that. Do you guys know in advance that those things are going to happen?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no, but it's been so long since I've done any of those things. I can't remember either way, because a lot of those places we just sit in a little green room waiting all day watching the monitors, and then they say go, and then you go, you know, first you go early in the morning and you wait till they say go, and you go do a sound check as fast as possible, and you get back in the room, then you wait, you get lunch, you sit around all day, and then later in the day they say go, and then you go perform, and then you run back to the room really fast. And that's my impression of it. You play on the stage, but it's very kind of surreal, but you definitely try to be awake for the moment, because you know it's a different thing, and you try to bring the right energy for this one focused song that you do rehearsing, and then with the lights on. And sometimes when you're rehearsing, they'll be stopping in the middle of it and stuff and go, well, let's try to get the lights over here a little more, you know, stuff like that. And it's, you know, you just got to be patient because it's a different situation, but it's usually run by professionals, and it all gets worked out. But it's an interesting thing. We haven't done those in a while.
Are there any new modern artists that you enjoy, that you listen to, or that you find inspiration from?
Well, I don't know if they're modern, but they're from bands that have been around forever. But my favorite new band that's been around for a couple years is The Smile, which is the Radiohead, Tom York and Tom Green, I think, the guitar player, and this drummer guy who sings as well. And it's just some of the most coolest music I've ever heard. I also saw them perform it, and I just fell in love with it. And I hear they have an album that I'm very eager to hear. And so that is very exciting, because it's fresh, yet it's a known. You know, we've all heard Radiohead for years, so it's not like, oh, I've never heard this song before. Yeah. But it's really fresh because it's kind of pared down and rethought, you know, for Tom York and Tom Green. I think it's Tom Green. Both play bass and guitar and keyboards, you know, so they have kind of the world at their fingertips sonically, and they really sound like a much bigger band, you know what I mean, because of that. And they have pedal keyboards too. They can play one instrument and press a bass pedal, and you know, I find that kind of thing very interesting. And the drummer is fantastic, you know, so and for a trio, I have to say it's like really big sounding.
I know it's different when you're on tour, but when you're sitting at home Do you play the guitar every day? Is there one always around? Is it by your side at all time?
Definitely. I mean, very rarely isn't there. But, and depending on what I'm, like, say, what I'm going to do next is what semi-dictates what I might play on more. Like, say, I mean, my mind is blank right now, but just say the next tour I go on is going to be strictly acoustic. I believe that is correct. So that works for me because I've already been playing acoustic for half the night for the last couple of weeks. So when I go home, I'll probably and then go play some acoustic tape. But when I haven't got anything that I need to play a specific guitar for, my choice at home is to play this really cheap but wonderful Yamaha nylon acoustic that I bought like $125 at Stacy's in Charlottesville, but it's such a great, nice guitar. It's really small, it's really quiet, but it sounds wonderful. My next album is going to be featuring that.
Wow.
With a bunch of Mellotron stuff. I already have the parts and I'm kind of marrying them together as in a ground scheme of Mellotron and nylon stuff with, the drum machines are on the demos, but it's going to be drums. But, it's got beats and stuff too. And I'm really excited about that. It's going to be very dramatic. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. But, yeah, when I'm at home, or if I'm going to go play a lot of electric guitar, I have one of my electric guitars. I have either the Tele or the SG, because I'm just going to play guitar all the time anyway, or at least a lot.
Is there a guitar around you right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at my SG because it looks really cool sitting out, Makes me think of Doors, Black Sabbath, The Who.
Yeah.
Even Chino Moreno from the Deftones, because he plays that white SG and another SG you can't remember about. A lot of people, it's still around, man.
And you mentioned Sabbath. I know you have some metal influence in your background. You're a metal fan, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hands down every metal band, but I probably like more old school for sure. I love Tool, but I think they're more rock metal than like a metal. I don't think of them as like a metal band. They're more like deeper than, I don't want to say they're not deeper than metal. They have a metal aspect, but it's not like they're chunky, whatever. It's not like a buzzy metal guitars. They're like they're almost in their own world, and that's what I love about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're, I'd say there's some similarity there. They seem to jam and do some improvisation, which I know is important for you guys as well. So I could see you definitely being into them.
Oh, I love Tool, man. I could say drop a lot of F-bombs. That's how much I love Tool.
It's a podcast.
Let them fly, baby. Let them fly.
I fucking love fucking Tool so fucking much. I fucking love those guys.
About time we got to the bottom of some shit there, didn't we?
All right, Tim, we're going to catch you when you come into town this weekend.
All right, man. Take care, bro.
Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Thank you, man.